Me, Arthur, and you're watching How to Draw Creepy Creatures. Now, if you watched my last video, you'll know that I'm doing a request for my two cousins, James and Eddie, because they wanted me to draw a wolf and a crocodile. So I did the sketch before, but now I'm going to show you guys how to paint it. Now, we're going to be using a couple different colors, mostly greens and grays and browns, but we're going to start with a crocodile. Now, with a crocodile, you might expect that it's just like bright green, but that's not really how they look. There's a couple different colors layered on top of each other. Now the first layer that we're going to do is yellow. Right, we're going to let him dry for a bit before we do the other colors. Now we're going to work on the wolf a little bit. Get your brush clean. Now the first layer, what we're going to do for him is I got this brown that I mixed where it's a couple different colors. It's got some yellow, it's got some red in there. You kind of want it to look like this burnt sienna color. Now we're going to let that dry a bit, and it might seem a little bit too red, too intense right now, but that's normal. We're going to wait for this to dry a little bit. It will fade in color, and then we can start mixing in the grays and the off-whites. But before we do that, now I'm going to take some kind of like a, see this color? It's like coffee colored paint. We're going to very carefully paint this on over the yellow. See, like, it looks a little bit dark there. So, I'm going to clean up our brush a little bit. We're going to spread this out so that it doesn't over eclipse the yellow. Now you might be wondering why I just don't mix the yellow with the brown here. You know, kind of like eliminate a step. The reason why is that if you mix it, it all just sort of fades into brown, and you don't get some definition or variations in color. If you layer it like this, you might get a much more striking, much more realistic effect with the color. I got this murky, dark, grayish brown, and we're going to layer this on top of the red. Right now we're going to let that dry. And now we're going to take some clean water. I'm going to very carefully work on the edges here, kind of make it look more natural, more like skin. Okay, now we're going to work on some of the shadows on the crocodile. See, that looks a little bit blotchy now, but we're just going to let that sit for a while, and then we're going to clean it up once it gets a little bit more dry. Now we're going to take some clean water, and we're going to work on the fur pattern on the wolf. clean up the shadows just a little bit on the crocodile. Let's work on the shadows on the wolf a little bit now. I think there should be a little bit more gray in the coat, so let's add this at the top and kind of let it trickle down. Okay, you'll notice that there's kind of like a striped pattern on the tail of a crocodile, so let's carefully add that. While those stripes are drying, I'm going to carefully clean up the shadows a little bit on the wolf. Alright, now let's take some of this dark greenish brown. We're going to very carefully get the top of his head. Now we're going to start working on the scale pattern. Now, while those scales are drying, we're going to clean up this area around the face a little bit with clean water. Now, with a really fine-tipped brush, we're going to work on some of the facial details of the wolf. And let's start with the nose. Dab of yellow on a fine-tipped brush. Get the eyes. Maybe a little bit of yellow, make that area stand out. Get a little bit of red into the tongue. Not too much red though. While it's drying, let's take some dark brown and outline some of these areas. Now we're going to take some more of this dark brown and outline it. Now, you might be tempted when outlining something to use black, but I find that that's way too blaring and it looks kind of cartoony. It's better to use something that's closer to nature, so dark brown is usually the way to go. Alright, now that those steps are done, I'm thinking that it's time that we moved on to the shadows. So let's take a clean brush, take some of this dark brown solution, kind of dab your brush so that you don't have too much. And we'll start. In fact, it might be a little bit dark, so we'll water it down, that's alright. Take some clean water, spread it out a little bit. Yeah, that's much better. Guys, this is it, all done, all dried, all the pencil lines erased, so there you go. And you have just painted a wolf fighting a crocodile. Alright, I hope you like it, James and Eddie. just want to give you a shout out. And like, share, and subscribe, you guys. And my email address and link to my Patreon page are in the description. And anybody who finished a lesson on the show and would like to show off your artwork, you can just send it to me. And as long as you give me your permission, I'll show it off on the show with your name so everybody knows that you did it. Thanks so much for watching, you guys, and goodbye.